welcome here again for the 3rd annual Charity Classic. And PepsiCo, thank you again for being our sponsor for the 3rd year in a row. We are so grateful. I certainly hope you're having a lovely time at the Broadmoor, and we thank the gods for the wonderful weather we've had here. At the Foundation and at Sodexo, we begin each event with a diversity moment, and we believe where we gather, it's important to know, acknowledge, and give back to the local communities where we show up. For this reason, we acknowledge that the Colorado Springs region's first inhabitants were American Indian people. The Ute, Cheyenne, Arapaho, and other tribes gathered at the base of Pikes Peak, what is now called Garden of the Gods Park. Understanding the ancestral land we are gathered on is a way to acknowledge the vital relationship between indigenous peoples and the land, while recognizing that these tribes still exist today and practice their cultures today. I'm indebted to the Stop Hunger team, Roxanne and crew, and the entire supply management team, Dave and crew. You've done a fabulous job again, and I thank you. And to my fellow Sodexo Stop Hunger board members, your leadership and dedication to our mission is invaluable. You challenge us to new heights, and we appreciate your strategic direction. And to all of you in the audience, your enduring support over these past 24 years has really sustained the foundation. You inspire us to fight even harder by your support, by your volunteerism, by your collaboration, and by being here tonight. Now we know the pandemic unfortunately revealed how many people struggle daily with food insecurity. The end of the government stimulus payments, coupled with historically high grocery and housing costs, have really pushed SNAP enrollment higher than before the pandemic. Too many Americans are still struggling to pay bills, and our work is in high demand. And if that moth comes near me, I'm going to be fighting more than hunger. All right. Being food insecure often means skipping meals, which impacts learning, decision-making, and brain function. While the impact of inflation may have felt like a short-term problem for you and me, food insecurity can result in long-term mental and physical deficits that contribute to unstable employment in adulthood. And we know unstable employment is a root cause in the repetitive cycle of food insecurity. And you've heard me say this before, the United States can and should feed all of its residents. America itself is not food insecure. In fact, we throw away more than $400 billion in food each year. Yet, we continue to witness millions of people facing barriers to healthy food. And whether helping people secure healthy food today or helping them acquire skills and knowledge to rise above food insecurity, the Sodexo Stop Hunger Foundation is committed to equipping people with the means and resources to banish hunger permanently. Now, you notice our program is a bit different tonight. We mixed it up a little bit. And in addition to celebrating our heroes and scholars, we are featuring some of our nonprofit friends who partner with the foundation to help ensure people have access to healthy food. Each of these organizations contributes to ending hunger in the Colorado area in unique ways. Food aid, workforce development, waste mitigation, gardening. We are fortunate to have 3 of the organizations represented here this evening, and we are proud to partner with them in this fight. Denver Urban Gardens, commonly referred to as DUG, provided you with a seed packet at registration. This group supports 190 community gardens across 6 metro Denver counties in neighborhoods where residents have limited incomes and face barriers to healthy food. The meal packing activity at registration was organized by Move for Hunger. Move for Hunger is a leader in the food recovery and donation space. With a network of 1,000 transportation partners across the United States, This incredibly creative and responsive team has helped us launch 2 new food recovery and donation programs throughout the United States. And also, speaking of those meal bags, they will benefit local military families associated with the affiliated Armed Services YMCA site in Colorado Springs. According to the Department of Defense, 1 in 4 affiliated families experience hunger. To me, that's a shocking statistic. So please give a warm welcome and thank you to Patty Romero, Boyd Williams, and Linda Appel-Lipsius and their colleagues for their leadership and help fighting hunger here in Colorado. And I'd like to invite Boyd Williams, President and CEO of the Pikes Peak Region YMCA, an affiliate of the Armed Services YMCA, to the stage.
Thank you, Joan.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Wow, the Broadmoor, Colorado Springs, no humidity, no bugs. You gotta love it, right? Well, welcome to Colorado Springs. They brought me, Roxanne, thank you so much. And we're so proud to be a beneficiary and really a go-between to serve the military men and women in our community. We have 5 installations. We're one of 3 cities or areas in the United States, San Diego, Norfolk, and Colorado Springs, that has that many military installations. So we're very proud of what we do. Our YMCA has been here 145 years this year. And the YMCA has been serving, thank you, serving the military since 1851. And through every major war, the YMCA stood by the side of military men and women in uniform. But Roxanne brought me up here because I'm the looks. So I provide that. But rather than hearing from me, I'd rather have you hear from somebody that bears witness to the problem that we're talking about, which is hunger in the military. So I would like to introduce Hannah Roofley, who is a wife and a mother of a military Army soldier stationed here at Fort Carson. So Hannah, it's all yours.
Thank you, Boyd. Good evening, everyone. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today, as this is very near and dear to my heart. Food insecurity is a very real problem within our nation's military. Just some quick data to give you an idea of what military families are facing. The most recent statistics report that 25.8% of military families, especially those junior enlisted, face food insecurity. That equates to around 347,500 soldiers that are not feeling secure in their food, and they don't feel like they have enough money to provide what their family needs, while the national average is at 10%. So as you can see, our military is quite a bit higher than your national average. I can relate to this personally. When my children were younger, I ended up at the WIC office while my husband was active duty Army. I was begging them for any kind of assistance that could help me provide food for my family. I was so thankful when we were approved for WIC, but my husband was serving as an active duty soldier in the US military, and we qualified for government assistance. There were times when we genuinely feared where our next meal would come from. There were months when we were faced with, do we pay rent or do we buy food for our family? That is such a hard decision to be faced with. A soldier should never have to worry while fighting a war overseas if his family will have enough food or be able to pay their bills. I am speaking for so many and continue to hear story after story of families facing these exact issues. There are so many misconceptions out there about military pay and benefits, but I've been a military spouse for 14 years, and I can tell you it is not what some perceive. The sacrifices that we make on a regular basis are hard enough. Basic necessities like food should be the last of our worries. But through your kindness and generosity, together we can ensure that military families aren't faced with the same hard decisions that my family and other military families are having to face. So having this opportunity to be here today means so much, and all of you, it means so much, and I can tell you the impact is great. So thank you.
Thank you. Wow. Boyd and Hannah, thank you both for being here today. Hannah, thank you, your husband, your family for your service, and thank you for having the courage to stand up here today and tell us your story. It's very, very, very powerful. Stop Hunger and our partners are working hard to transform lives because what really matters is our impact on beneficiaries like Hannah. You just heard from them, and you heard how you all have collectively helped to contribute to helping military families. Throughout the rest of the evening's program, you will hear 3 words repeated: magnify, strengthen, and advance. I'm going to say it again: magnify, strengthen, and advance. Each of these words is linked to how we interact with food insecure people and the community organizations trying to help them. So please listen carefully to the stories shared this evening. Note how each word, when activated, can help create a better day for everyone who may be food insecure and hungry. And now it is my distinct honor to welcome to the stage Sodexo's Chief Executive Officer of North America, Sarosh Mistry.
Good evening, everyone. Are you guys having fun? Well, thank you and welcome to the 3rd annual Sodexo Charity Classic. This event has always been a highlight on the Sodexo calendar, and I'm thrilled to be joining you all here tonight. First, I hope you and your families are safe and healthy. Second, thank you for being with us today. We appreciate both your generosity and time, and of course, your financial contributions. A special thank you for our presenting sponsor, PepsiCo, as well as our platinum and founding partners. As other issues claim the public's attention that COVID once held, hunger continues to challenge more and more families. And as schools let out the summer, hunger thrives. Nearly half of food assistance program beneficiaries are children, and many will have even less access to healthy foods this summer when schools close down. It's only with your dedication that we can fight what seems like an insurmountable odds. I'm really, really proud of each of you who've joined us today so we can face these odds together. And I'm especially proud of the young people we'll honor here later tonight. I had the pleasure of meeting them earlier today, who truly represent that next generation for this fight. But I'll tell you, I'm a little disappointed because we'll need their help, their innovation, their energy. I wish we could have solved this problem. But their leadership is very, very inspiring, and it gives me hope. Together, we can get there. I want to give a special thank you to all the Sodexo employees who go above and beyond their day jobs to take time out to support Stop Hunger. And I promise you, their day jobs are pretty taxing. Thank you to the Stop Hunger Foundation and to its leader, Roxanne Moore, and her dedicated team. You'll be hearing from Roxanne later today. And finally, thank you to David Coury and the entire supply management team for making this event happen. I hope you leave here tonight with a feeling of optimism and perhaps an extra lightness in your wallets after the auction. So to be completely candid, our goal is $2 million. And David has told me I got to keep coming up on stage until we have $2 million. So if you don't want to hear from me, please lighten those wallets. I thank you again for your leadership on this issue, and it's my pleasure to introduce you to our head of supply chain, David Coury. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thank you. Thank you, Sarosh, for those positive and uplifting comments and hopefully a lifting of the wallets. I'd also like to echo Sarosh's thank you and appreciation and extend that to all attendees that are here tonight, as well as our champion sponsors and our contributing sponsors for this year's event. This doesn't happen without you guys, so thank you. Joan is right. Solving hunger requires action. The reality is that hunger is about 5 steps removed from the real issues plaguing adults and children in the world. That is to say, hunger is a symptom of a much more complex problem in people's lives. Sometimes this makes solving hunger feel insurmountable. You heard that word earlier. But it's not impossible. When we collaborate and bring together our collective resources of time, talent, and finances, we can change people's lives. And we have been. If you're like me, you may ask, well, how can I help? Beyond providing financial support. You can begin with the first word that Joan talked about, magnify. This means getting to know your community's needs. It means listening to the organizations that are either helping people access food or achieve economic autonomy through programs like workforce development, skills training. Seek to understand where the gaps are and then ask, how can I help? Once you've answered that question, the next thing is deciding how you can help strengthen the person or the organization's mission. For individuals, this could mean acting as a mentor, someone shadowing you at work, or helping someone to read. For organizations, they may have the means to feed people, but they don't have any way to connect with them. They may need your help with marketing. They may need your help with market networking, or they may need help with leadership. Our ultimate goal is to help people rise above hunger forever. We want to help them advance to new opportunities. And now I like to think that I'm a pretty good storyteller, but I've got a great example of one of our foundation partners, Together We Bake, exemplifies the 3 words that Joan spoke about. This organization recently was recognized for its impactful women's empowerment work. We thought you would find it inspirational from this small but powerful nonprofit in Arlington, Virginia. So let's take a look.
I was always involved in doing volunteer work, always wanted to help, like that was kind of my nature. I started working in mental health, and I thought if things were just planned a little differently, that there could be a bigger impact and more people could be really, really helped. And I realized maybe I could create something like that.
Right, and bake some cookies.
The beginning of Together We Bake really starts with my co-founder, Trisha. She had this great little cookie business that she ran out of her home, and we decided to use her cookies and baking and my granola recipe as the way to develop something that would really have an impact.
I need a big glass of milk.
Our program is based on a small baking business, and that's really just a platform to give them skills of working in a kitchen and working on a team and communicating.
You come over and make these, but don't turn them.
They have people that really believe in them. I think that's where a lot of the confidence comes in.
It helped me realize the last 10 weeks, I can be who I am, and I'm good at things.
The women we work with come from a variety of backgrounds. They might be experiencing homelessness or surviving a domestic violence or abuse situation, transitioning from the correction system.
I came to Together We Bake and felt safe enough to share my story. And these ladies helped me and given me the strength that I needed.
Everyone that works at Together We Bake feels really empowered.
Together we bake, together we bake. What your name is? Stop Hunger.
Stop Hunger provides funding to our program. They've also connected us to some great partners. They've been an incredible supporter since last year. They also are an employer partner. They did some mentorship programming for the women that have graduated from our program.
I wouldn't have been able to do this without you guys.
I love that Stop Hunger isn't only focused on giving food directly to individuals. It's so important. But I think helping women become more self-sufficient, able to break cycles of poverty for their own families, that's really going to make a difference with food insecurity.
We're here to celebrate 7 incredible women.
So the future of Together We Bake is really exciting. We're going to grow a lot. We hope that as we grow, we can continue to employ more of our alumni team members, and we want to keep empowering women.
I would hire you today if I was able.
Providing this investment in women is really going to make the difference.
Aren't they amazing? Too often we assume we know what people need and how to solve their problems. If we could just take away one action from this event, it would be please listen more intentionally to your community's needs, the beneficiaries of all of our efforts. Hunger may look the same across all communities, but the needs are very different. We can't assume the same approach will work everywhere. Now, to help us prepare for tonight's highlight of the program, honoring Sodexo's Heroes of Everyday Life and the Stephen J. Brady Scholars, please welcome my friend, the Stop Hunger Foundation Executive Director, Roxanne Moore.
Good job. Hi, everybody. You know, every year we hear how the heroes of everyday life and our Stephen J. Brady Scholars energize and motivate you. And they motivate me too, but I have to be honest, I'm also very inspired by all of you. Achieving the Foundation's mission is made possible not only by your financial contributions, but also by the time and the talent that you so generously dedicate to us. You know, the Foundation is like a strategic connector. We identify needs within the community, and then we seek resources to help us deliver effective solutions. And many times, you have been part of those solutions. Some of you have helped us to identify food waste, within communities and coordinate it with our nonprofit partners like Move for Hunger and helped us get that food where it's needed within the communities. Other groups like Campbell's, I don't know where you are, but thank you. You have helped us to expand volunteer opportunities by bringing together our employees and amplifying impact within the community. And then some of you have helped us to start or expand projects like our cause marketing initiatives, as well as projects like Bake Soup, which we talked about last year. This is now expanding across the United States thanks to a partnership with Nestle Pro, Sodexo Live, the Foundation, and most recently, Sodexo Campus Accounts. These actions demonstrate the power of collaboration, and they also give us opportunities for volunteerism, hands-on volunteerism, and employee engagement. And I'm really excited to share that since the pandemic, we are seeing a renewed interest and people asking, how can I help, Roxanne? How can we get involved in Stop Hunger? And I'm incredibly grateful because there is still so much more to do, and the journey that we're on is so much more enjoyable when we're on it together. So as we do continue to work together, I too want to ask that you please lean in and listen to what people need. Just this past week, I had the opportunity to come to Denver early and attend the Denver Food Rescue fundraiser along with some of our colleagues here, Doug, Denver Urban Gardens. And during this event, I heard local people share their personal experiences with food insecurity. I also had the opportunity to hear how grateful they were to the organizations and the people who have helped them overcome food insecurity. But I also listened to them share their very emotional testimonies about how being food insecure oftentimes resulted in feeling humiliated, as well as having this loss of dignity for themselves, as well as for the people that they love. And I know hunger stats, but the truth is every time I hear somebody's own personal testimony, it inspires me like nothing else. And I promise that if you listen and learn from the people who are food insecure and the organizations that are helping them, that you too will feel an uplifted inspiration to do more. You'll become a better educator and a better advocate for your neighbors, for the children in your community, and quite possibly also for your own employees and their family and friends. We should all walk away and share what we have heard about military hunger. Or how about the fact that there's hunger on college campuses, keeping kids from achieving their dreams? Or how about the fact that there is so much food waste in food service operations when we could be mitigating that waste and feeding millions of people all around the world? Each of those topics that I just mentioned are in some way connected to the health and the well-being and, quite frankly, the strength of this country. And I know that everyone in this room have the opportunity and the capability to listen, as well as unite resources and people and organizations for our own collective welfare. We just have to lean in and ask, how can I help? So now let's hear how our own Sodexo heroes of everyday life have listened and responded to the needs in their own communities.
For 24 years, the Heroes of Everyday Life program has honored extraordinary Sodexo employee volunteers whose determination and perseverance in their off-work hours strengthened thousands in their communities who might otherwise go without enough food. Heroes in their communities, heroes to their coworkers, and heroes especially to those whose lives they advance. Here are this year's Stop Hunger Heroes of Everyday Life. Mache Barr changes lives by providing training for culinary careers and has personally prepared and served thousands of meals to her Baltimore neighbors through her extensive involvement in over a half-dozen organizations. For years, her 24-hour food marathon has delivered thousands of meals at Christmas to local encampments, senior housing, overnight first responders, and those who come directly to the kitchen. Molly Crouch has donated her time and resources to hunger elimination across 4 decades of intensive volunteering, whether helping organizations develop successful food recovery programs, coordinating large monthly food drives, or on the front lines helping a local food bank distribute meals. Volunteering since high school, Molly leads the way for dozens of volunteers in a multitude of Stop Hunger programs throughout the year. Chris Harasta is always ready to help with anything that positively impacts other people. His years of organizing community gardens, coordinating food drives, and food recovery programs lead the way for hundreds of volunteers. Chris's efforts align multiple organizations in his community towards sustainable foodways. An outstanding example of volunteerism advancing entire communities. For over 12 years, Becky Shibley has overseen significant growth of the nonprofit People Against Child Hunger organization, providing 54,000 nutritious meals to youth. Beyond recruiting dozens of Sodexo volunteers in programs associated with ending childhood hunger, Becky's consistent involvement with the Stop Hunger Foundation includes securing grants for her school district's backpack food program. Robin Willis is a hands-on leader, sustaining Sodexo employee involvement with Stop Hunger programming, at her church providing meals to others, volunteering at community nonprofit Manna from 7, and the local 4-H club where she teaches youth to cook. Robin volunteers between 8 and 20 hours each week beyond her full-time job and works to ensure those in need get a helping hand. The monumental efforts of these employees is inspiring and heroic.
Hi, Mache. On behalf of the entire MedStar team, we could not be any more proud of you. Baltimore is one lucky city to have you as a resident, Mache, and we at Sodexo are one lucky company to have you on our team. Congratulations.
Hi, Molly. Thank you for everything you do. You truly help people feel seen, valued, and heard through the gift of healthy food, and we are so, so thankful for you. We love you, Molly!
Hey, Chris, congratulations on your Hero of Everyday Life Award. The Binghamton Move Out project is fantastic, and you made Binghamton proud. Way to go, bud. Congrats.
Congratulations, Becky, for your outstanding performance and Stop Hunger Award.
Congratulations, Becky. Robin, we're so proud of all you do to better the Terre Haute community. Your efforts truly exemplify Sodexo core values. Robin, congratulations. You're simply the best.
Congratulations. Let's give a big round of applause to the Sodexo Stop Hunger Foundation's Heroes of Everyday Life.
So I have to be honest, we threw in a little surprise. We did not let our heroes watch the video intentionally because we wanted to surprise you with your coworkers and how proud they are of each and every one of you. So we have to collect ourselves right now. Each of the employees that stand before you, they embody a powerful passion for helping others and helping to fight hunger within their communities. The heroes have been nominated by their colleagues or a friend, and they exemplify a commitment to creating a better day for everyone everywhere. And they demonstrate the importance and the value of volunteerism. They're true leaders among their colleagues. And here tonight to help us recognize our heroes of everyday life. Sarosh Mystery, would you please join me back on stage? Thank you. You guys can have a seat. Thank you, Sarosh. Thank you. Okay. So we're going to recognize each one of our heroes one at a time. So let's first welcome Ms. Shea Barr. Ms. Shea, I know you have a short history of working with Sodexo, but I know you have a very long history of helping others within your community, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your leadership, as well as the number of hours and the days that you have spent giving people hope. As your Maryland neighbor, I know how important it is, the work that you do in the Baltimore community, so I want to congratulate you on being a hero of everyday life.
It's my pleasure.
Congratulations.
And we're going to hear her over. I'm going to smile for a picture. Thank you, Michelle. Okay, Molly. Please welcome Molly Crouch. Molly, in addition to your steadfast commitment to helping people everywhere, literally everywhere she goes, I also know that you are personally leading the way when it comes to fighting food waste and helping to ensure that the food gets to the people in need. Molly, you have also personally inspired me on many levels, and you've helped me to be a better leader in this space of fighting hunger. And so it's my honor to recognize you as a Sodexo hero of everyday life. Okay, let's welcome Chris Harasta. Chris, I want to thank you, Chris, for engaging not only the staff, but also the students at the universities in numerous Stop Hunger activities. I personally love that Chris helps to mitigate food waste at the end of the semester by asking students to make sure they donate their non-perishable food so that it can be returned to the community campus. And I really appreciate that. So thank you, Chris, for being a Stop Hunger hero of everyday life. Okay, let's please welcome Becky Shively. Becky, with your expertise in nutrition and health, children go to bed every night comfortable, and they wake up ready to learn. I personally want to thank you for your commitment to the foundation. You've engaged with us on many occasions, and I appreciate the fact that you also inspire employees to get involved with your mission. Congratulations on being a Sodexo hero of everyday life. Okay, come on, Robin. Please join us, Robin Willis. If any of you were really listening to the video, you probably heard how Robin volunteers 8 to 20 hours on top of her regular work schedule every single week. That's pretty impressive, Robin. And as a former 4-H'er myself, I can tell you that 4-H leaders like Robin are truly developing children's life skills and inspiring them to become caring adults. Robin, thank you for the work that you're doing, and congratulations on being a Sodexo hero of everyday life. All right, let's give Michelle, Molly, Chris, Becky, and Robin one more round of applause for being recognized as this year's Heroes of Everyday Life. Thank you, Suresh.
Thank you so much.
It's always so inspiring to be with them. You know, in this slightly ambiguous world, there's many things about the future that can oftentimes feel uncertain, even unsettling. But businesses and nonprofits have realized now more than ever that we need some really radical collaboration if we're going to revitalize the country and our people who live within it. And we cannot overlook the importance of investing in youth. They're the future leaders of this country. And we have to make sure that children are well nourished so that they can go to school and learn and thrive. But we also have to invest in youth and their personal ambitions and their innovative ideas for eliminating all of the root causes of hunger. This evening, I have the privilege of introducing a young person that probably some of you in this room helped invest in back in 2017. Jack Griffin is a former Stephen J. Brady Scholar and now one of Stop Hunger Foundation's nonprofit partners. Jack is the founder and the CEO of Food Finder, a nonprofit organization that uses its website and its app to help food insecure families connect with food pantries all across the United States. For the past 10 years, Jack has worked on Food Finder, and he has grown it into one of the largest databases in this country, providing access to 50,000 free food sites in 50 states. Since graduating in 2019, Jack has led Food Finder full-time and has been recognized as a Forbes 30 Under 30 for his social impact. However, Jack is still most proud of serving 2.2 million Americans who have used Food Finder's platform to find help for themselves and their families. Jack is actually here tonight to help us introduce this year's Stephen J. Brady Scholars. And so if you wouldn't mind, would you please help me give a warm welcome to our friend, our partner, and our former Stephen J. Brady Scholar, Jack Griffin.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Roxanne. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and for your investment in scholars like me. The support that the Stephen J. Brady Scholarship gave to myself and Food Finder meant the world to me. Not only that, it helped me see that working to help others could in fact be my life's work. That's what y'all are given to these young scholars just by being here today. Short as it may be, my goal for our time together is to help y'all be as excited and inspired about the work of these young change makers as I am, which should be pretty easy because they're awesome, so it's not a tall ask, but let's get to know them, shall we? Our 2023 Stephen J. Brady Scholars.
The biggest thing that I believe in is really communicating with those we serve, being able to ask them what they need instead of assuming. That's why we've been able to give dental hygiene kits, toiletries kits, and socks and various other projects to address the needs of the people we serve. I started Camp Happy when I was about 10 years old in 2015. Oftentimes, it's not so much an issue of finding different places to give food. It's really a matter of people needing better access to the food. And so that's why we work to bring various food initiatives to people that need it the most. Magnify.
20 million people in the US have food allergies. I've seen the lines of people waiting to get into food pantries. Allergy-free foods are just incredibly more expensive in general, so often it can cost up to 3 times as much. So at the beginning, we made a lot of calls to different pantries. A lot of them just told us outright that this was a big issue that was lacking in their pantries. We've partnered with several hospitals and clinics across the country that work with us to refer their patients with food allergies to nearby food pantries that we service. strengthen.
I realized that a lot of young kids at summer camps and schools were open to learning about different kinds of foods, the importance of vitamins and vegetables and fruits. So, like, I've had this one kid tell me, I didn't even know this was a vegetable, like, I didn't know artichokes existed. Seeing them just open to learning and being willing to learn how to cook fresh produce and to take it home with them, or going out in the garden, getting to feel the soil under their hands. Families who get to take home their produce after a garden work day or at the soup kitchen, they're always interested in how we prepare different foods.
Advance. I have built a partnership with the Hawaii Food Bank, and I've worked on them for numerous projects last year, and how the Hawaii Food Bank got $2 million approved. And I think that wouldn't have happened if there wasn't so much advocacy for the issue. Contacting lawmakers and making sure your voice is heard is very important, even if you're only 17, 18, 19 years old, because a short, small step of making the relationship and at least being heard by lawmakers goes a long way. Magnify, strengthen, advance.
We worked to pass a law in Virginia that had to do with extending the food donation liability protection to food past the best by date, so that now they can donate that food, because a lot of those best by dates, use by dates, sell by dates, they have nothing to do with the food safety. I actually came with them with the printed Virginia code. I was like, see, right here, you're protected now if you donate this food. After that, they were super on board. They were just donating every week. They would always be like, we have the donations. And then that support carried into this year when we got a law passed to renew and improve a tax incentive for farmers donating their excess food.
It's not just a one-person effort. It takes a whole community. It takes an entire village.
Issues like hunger are only going to get solved if you have people working towards it every day, every year.
I think you just need to be in it to understand it.
Everyone has a responsibility to help other people in their communities.
It's a matter of meeting people where they are.
Please welcome to the stage your 2023 Stephen J. Brady Scholars, Charlotte Teves, Natalia de los Rios, and Michelle Song. How are y'all doing? Sit. Thank you for being here. Welcome, scholars. I'd love to ask each of you a question one by one about the amazing work you do. But just a quick note for our audience, I'm sure y'all are used to seeing 5 scholars on stage. 2 of our scholars this year weren't able to make it. First, I want to acknowledge Grace Callwood, a scholar that is clearly very scholarly because she has already begun her full ride scholarship program at Howard University. So she wishes she could be here. So we wish we could have her. She wishes she was able to make it, but we'll have to just, and she already expressed her deepest gratitude for the scholarship itself. We'll have to send her all the good energy we can from afar. And then lastly, Sydney Hankin, our final scholar, is attending virtually. She was caught up in the same sort of travel mayhem that I know affected a lot of people here and who weren't able to make it from the audience. So we will conduct a half sort of hybrid interview, which will be very fun, over Zoom to make sure we still get her wisdom and learn about her work also. But the scholars we have here on stage, I'd love to ask questions so we can all learn more about why y'all are so spectacular and deserving of the scholarship. Charlotte, let's start with you. First off, Charlotte, let me say that you are far braver than me for choosing to work with politicians. And not only that, you've worked and successfully gotten big policies that matter to you and your constituents across the finish line. Your Hawaii State Youth Commission Stop Hunger initiative successfully got $2 million approved and allocated in the Hawaii State budget for food bank support. My question for you, why do you think your voice in particular was able to reach these lawmakers and why do you think they listened?
Well, first, thank you so much for having me here tonight, and thank you, Sodexo, for providing all of the support. So I first want to share just how I kind of got involved with Sodexo in this great cause. A few years ago, there was a real shameful incident that happened in my home state, Hawaii, and a local singer went on a radio show and shared her story with childhood hunger and shared a story about eating food out of a trash can, and it was really sad. And the two radio DJs mocked her and made a joke about it, and they thought it was funny, but it blew up on the news, and it really impacted me because it made me really upset that they're joking about this, and this all occurred during the beginning of the pandemic when more families were hit by food insecurity. And so that made me want to act. So I partnered with Sodexo because they were providing school lunches at my high school. And we worked together to get a grant to hold a virtual summit to invite legislators and community leaders to talk about long-term solutions to ending hunger through legislation. And that's where I really got involved with meeting with legislators and having my voice heard. And that just then opened the door to working with them on different issues. And I was invited to be on a talk show with the House Majority Leader in my state. And then I partnered with the food bank on multiple projects, and then I was appointed to the Hawaii State Youth Commission, where youth voices are meant to be heard and valued, and that's where I had the opportunity to advocate for a portion of the budget to be sent to the Hawaii State Food Bank, and they had $2 million appropriated to them, which was the first time in the state that money from the budget went solely to food purchase and not just grants. So it was a really great success, and so to answer your question, on talking to legislators, it's mostly just showing up, because a lot of times people don't testify or are scared to or don't want to, and a lot of youth feel that way, but they want to hear from youth and they want to work together on an issue as important as hunger, and that's why we're all here today. And so I think it's just a simple step of showing up and making your voice heard.
Awesome, couldn't agree more. Thank you, Charla. Natalia, you've also been involved in getting legislation changed, but in Virginia. I know that your work is helping to keep food out of landfills and instead helping to feed families that could really use it and benefit from that support. And I know that your chapter of Food Rescue US has now salvaged an astounding 2.5 million pounds of food that would have otherwise been wasted. My question, based on from what you've seen, and again, it seems sort of obvious that this shouldn't be a problem, why is it that so many businesses and food service operations still continue to waste so much perfectly good food?
Well, I think the issue is kind of threefold. So first, I think we have issues with our legislation and our policies, and at the state level, federal, local. For example, the Emerson Act, which is basically what is the federal legislation that protects businesses from liability when they donate food. It says donations of wholesome food are protected from liability, but nobody knows what wholesome means. There's no clear definition. And so it causes a lot of concern and just confusion, and a sense of dread almost about food donations. That is something that can totally be clarified, and it costs nothing to do that. It's just a simple change in the language. And along with that, there's so many other things like best by dates, use by dates. There's no continuity, no clarity about what those mean. And so a lot of businesses, when I go to a grocery store and I ask them to donate their excess food, they will hold most of their food until that date because they're obviously trying to sell it and make profit. But then at that point, they don't have the legislation, they don't have the wording in front of them to say, okay, if I donate this food past the best by date, I will for sure be not sued, And so that is a big barrier, just not having that clarity. And then also, I think there's a real lack of education. I think we definitely need stronger educational campaigns, for example, the Department of Health for states, they could have, when they have a food inspector go to a restaurant, why don't they also not only educate them about health codes, but also about like food donation codes, and giving them the resources to know, hey, what can I do? Do I have a plan for my excess food? And so that's something that, again, is just a really simple fix for, because business owners, they don't have the time to like read the state code or read like the federal law and like know all the nitty-gritty about food donations. So it's providing that access to that knowledge for them that eliminates that apprehension with food donations. And then lastly, I think just having an awareness of who's in your local community addressing these issues. So like with Food Rescue, a lot of times, like I'll come across like a community organization or a food pantry that I never heard of, like, and I've been doing this for years. Or a business or a grocery store or a restaurant will come across my organization and they'll be like, okay, I didn't know this existed. Like, I would have loved to be doing this years ago. And so it's just having like that awareness, having like a more unified network so that we have like education, we have knowledge of who we can go to. When we have excess food, what organizations will take it? If we have food that can't be donated to people anymore, is there avenues for composting? Is there avenues for biofuel or livestock food? And so I think it's just having that knowledge put together in one place and making that network public that can solve a lot of like the, I guess, the disconnect in our food systems.
For sure. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you, Natalia. Michelle, I'm a huge fan of the holistic approach that you take with the Community for Environmental Sustainability. You engage 1,500 volunteers every year. You've donated produce that you've grown yourself to help feed more than 2,600 families in your community. And you also do a few things like fundraising, beekeeping, education, just a few things. But I'm curious, why choose to address so much? You know, what is it about community gardening in particular with, you know, all its interconnectedness that enriches and empowers those who do it?
Community gardens are filled with so many things. For me, it has been one of the richest learning experiences ever. It's a non-traditional classroom that I think a lot of people overlook. In my personal experience, and for many of my friends all throughout America, community gardens have been training grounds for youth leaders in America. And I think it's really important that we prioritize not just national or statewide policies like my friends have all helped advocate for. Huge shout out to them, they're amazing. But also to highlight and acknowledge the importance of local partnerships and collaborations. And a little bit of background, I'm currently the founder of the Community for Environmental Sustainability, as well as the youth manager for the Greenville Community Garden. And through this garden, I got started in volunteering, I got started in service learning, I learned about STEM education, things like soil pH and water quality, but also have been able to see firsthand how food deserts are impacted all across Eastern North Carolina and all the solutions that are brought up by community gardens to fix food insecurity by donating fresh produce. And so it's been amazing, and I think that everything is intersected, so it's really important to address so many things all at once, because either way, even if you just teach one thing, one way or another is going to lead to another topic. Here at Sodexo, I've been able to meet, I've had the honor of meeting so many different people from a diverse background. And much like Sodexo, community gardens rely on everyone, whether they're in beekeeping, whether they're in facilities management, which I just found out yesterday, and whether it's cooking, whether it's finance, everyone has a purpose when it comes to reducing food insecurity and for zero hunger policies all across America. So I think it's very important to address this. Sorry, I'm going lengthy. It's very lengthy.
Thank you for sharing. in your experience, Sydney, what's the #1 reason why food banks and food pantries don't already offer these allergy-safe goods?
Yeah, so first, thank you for making this all work. It's thrilling to be able to talk to you from here. I would say that the root of the issue starts with the allergy-friendly products themselves. And it's not the manufacturers that make them. I've spoken to countless brands and partners of ours that are so enthusiastic to join this cause and really want their products to be more widely accessible in food pantries. But many of the brands that are producing specialty allergy-safe foods are smaller, are startup companies or family-owned companies, and they are also using more exotic products because they have to substitute for, instead of traditional cow's milk, they're making dairy-free soy milk, and that just costs a lot more from both the product perspective and the perspective of a small company. And I think as a country, as a collective, we often think about the fact that families facing food insecurity won't be able to purchase those specialty items, but not often enough about food pantries being able to afford those items, because food pantries are also extraordinarily underfunded, and in a fair way, they need to focus their attention and their funds on products that are more universally applicable and also more universally accessible, because these specialty items are also hard to find in supermarkets and in more remote locations. So I would say that's the root of the cause, in addition to education and just not knowing how to store these products safely or effectively in a food pantry setting.
All right, thank you so much, Sydney. Thank you for being with us by any means necessary. All right, we're coming to the end of our time together, but before we wrap up, I'd like to ask each of the scholars we have here on stage just one final speed round question. Purest thoughts on the matter, 30 seconds or less. Ready? All right. I think it's important for everyone to know here that y'all didn't let your age stop you from addressing an urgent need in your communities. You are already leaders. You are already making a meaningful difference in the lives of others. What one thing about your work do you want everyone here in the audience to remember after they leave this room? Charlotte, start with you.
My family has a saying, opportunity dances with those on the dance floor. So if you just go out and do one small thing, it could lead to doing so much more action, and that's exactly what happened to me. And I feel like if you just take that one step, you can create so much change. So that's what I have to say.
Sure, thank you. Natalia.
I just want to stress how, I think how seamless it can be to be like an active member in your local food system. So it can be something as like simple as going to your favorite restaurant or your favorite cafe or like your grocery store and going to the manager and saying, hey, do you have a plan for your excess food? And if not, try and be that person that makes sure that food is getting to the people in your community rather than the landfills. So just those simple, small things that you can do in your day-to-day.
Absolutely. And last but not least, Michelle.
Firstly, before I say my thing, I'd like to thank everybody here at Sodexo and all of the beneficiaries for Sodexo for making this opportunity possible. Without your support, we would not have been able to go forward with our initiatives and projects. So thank you so much. And for the saying, never underestimate the power of youth and youth-adult partnerships. I think it's very important for this community to really collaborate. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm so thankful that you guys are able to look forward to the future and that you guys recognize youth as well, because you never know what can come out of fruition from this opportunity. So thank you so much.
And there you have it. Thank you again to our scholars. Thank you so much. Let's give them another big round of applause. Great job. right, thank you everyone for your attention. As we continue tonight's programming, I hope everyone is feeling energized and very hopeful for the future. Even with all the amazing things that our scholars have and will continue to accomplish, one thing is clear: there's a lot of work left to be done. The good news is that taking action, taking the necessary steps to arrive at a possible hunger-free future is why we're all here. So thank you so much for everyone who came. Thank you for caring. Let's get to work. Please enjoy the rest of your time at the Charity Classic.